Hello and welcome back to the Self-Help Bookshelf. Today, I'm just going to give you a monthly update. So this is not our regular podcast. And now and again, I like to give members of the group on Facebook and LinkedIn a quick update as to what we've been doing within the Self-Help Bookshelf in the background. And so last month was very quiet. There was everybody had something else going on last month. And we were getting our new member, Sue Bailey, introduced into the group, getting her set up with her writing process. So that was the big excitement for last month. And her introductory video is in the channel or in the group, wherever you're looking at this video, the replay later on. So check back on that and see what Sue is going to be writing about. Now, I'll get Sue's out first. She was talking about writing a book, Fragmented No More. And it's not necessarily going to be part of a sequel. It may be part of the sequel. But Sue has already written 3 books and put them on Amazon. However, she hadn't had any support and guidance with them the first time through, and they hadn't been selling. So what we're going to do is we are going to bring those books into alignment, get all the formatting corrected, the covers in some kind of matching sequence, and we're going to really just give them a cosmetic upgrade for her. But she's going to be doing the work with my guidance. And when they're ready, what we're going to do for her is, because she's new to the group, we're going to treat those as a relaunch. So I won't say too much about the titles for now, but we will update you nearer the time when they're ready to go. They're going to take a little while because there's 3 of them. But once Sue gets the hang of doing all of the formatting and the layout and really just placing things in the right places, we will be there, because it's a very graphical style book rather than text. And this is the thing, as authors, there is, a really big key decision we have to make before starting our book is what kind of content is going to have in it. Now, my first book, Brain Unchained, this one is very much a textbook. So it's done as a Word document. But when I do things like, if I get hold of it, Darker Than Dark, it's very graphical content, and you cannot do that as easily in a Word document by far. And so we have to choose another platform. My preferred platform is Canva, and all of the authors who are working under my mentoring all use Canva as well. Although actually Emma's book, Critical Parenting Reframed, that is a textbook. So we have a lot to make decisions on, but when we're doing it in something like Canva, the layout is not as automatic for some of the elements. And like putting page numbers in is a doddle in Word, because we can auto apply the page numbers. But in Canva, they have to be applied manually and double and triple checked. And there is a lot more work goes in Canva than you might think. It might look like a little, honestly, seriously, when you see a page like this, and we've got a verse of a poem and an image, it might look so simple, but it's amazing how difficult it is to get the entire book looking exactly the same all the way through and keeping the styles consistent. So Sue is putting in a tremendous amount of work right now, and I'm so proud of what she's doing, because I know how much it's going to take her to get through it. But what we do is we take one part of the formatting at a time and we work through the whole process, and then we go back and work on the next and so on, and we will get her there. We'll get her there. So well done, Sue. Well done. Emma's next book, Whose Stuff Is It Anyway? Oh, sorry, very noisy motorbike. You might not hear it, but I hear it. So Emma's Whose Stuff Is It Anyway is written. Yes, well done, Emma. It is written. However, I've started the editing process. We're just over 60 pages in, but Emma's put a hold on it for the time being. She's got the document back and is working or about to start working in the next week or so on going back through all of the suggested edits, because Emma's written a fantastic book. It really is fantastic. But when I receive them, I put different hats on. So Emma's gone into this book and she has written it from her perspective of what will help her readers. When I'm reading it, I'm listening to Emma's voice that I know, because I do know Emma's voice very well. I've been speaking to her for a couple of years now, and her tone and how she words things. So when she's talking to me in person as says something, I understand her intention of that saying, absolutely. However, Emma has a, well, don't want to be rude to Emma, but a very abrupt, not blunt, abrupt, it's kind of is, but Emma has a very to the point way of saying things. And that's fine face to face when the tone of voice and the body language and everything support the positive messages behind that. However, when it's in writing in a book, Emma can't see it from the reader's perspective quite the same. So I'm sitting there thinking, first of all, how am I reading it? How am I feeling? I'm having to read it as what Emma's voice is trying to say, and also think how her reader might hear it, not knowing Emma's tone of voice. I have to imagine I don't know Emma's tone of voice, that if they was to read this sentence and not know her at all, how might that trigger them? Because this is a very heavy book around trauma. So there is a lot of trigger points in it. And so I'm having to just assist Emma in recognizing those spaces where sentences might just need a little bit of a restructure to give the intended message that Emma wants to give, but just working around her tone of voice minus the body language and the expressions. So it's quite a challenge for me to do that as her editor and proofreader. And I'm not an official editor. I'm really supporting them to self-publish and go through their own process. But this is a process that I offer really mainly just to Emma, because it is a very important process to do with therapy when it is about trauma therapy and about understanding relationships. And relationships are some of the biggest triggers of trauma going, and not necessarily romantic relationships, but parent relationships, relationships with the self, with children, with colleagues. There is a lot in there, and this book is going to be absolutely priceless for people who want to learn to break those patterns in the relationship in a positive way and grow from them. So there's a lot to work on there. At the moment, Emma declared in the meeting last night that she is still going to be aiming for the September deadline at the moment. So as soon as she cracks on with that again, it's going to be all go. So well done, Emma. I tell you, this is a very difficult process to embrace. And she's put a lot of effort into this book, really, really has put a lot in. Rory's still planning on doing his for November. His is going to be a much easier book because his content is really about collating material that he's been collecting for a while, but putting it into a very similar process to his earlier book. Oh, so this is Emma's previous one. For anyone who's new to the group and hasn't caught up, this was Emma's first book, Critical Parenting Reframed. Well, it's actually her second. She'd published a children's one before this. But this is, again, all about the therapy for your own inner voice and working on the self-relationship. And then Who's Stuffing It Anyway is like a follow-on from this, with the wider scope of relationships, a bulkier book as well. But Rory's is very different in that this is a very graphical, creative, artistic book. Lots of little memes in here, but every single one of these is very deeply therapeutic based thought processes. Rory's mental fitness and osteopathy and all of his movements and positive thinking skills, his leadership skills, all come into these phrases. So as he's done his training over the years and worked through his own processes over the years, these are all the little things he's come out with. And one of them is there is no better place than happiness. And when we all think about a place, where are we going? Most reasons why people are going anywhere or doing anything is because at the end of it, they want to feel happy. So that is a perfect explanation of a mindset shift that we can really dig quite deep into. And when Rory launched the book in February, Emma actually interviewed Rory from her therapy point of view about a few of the quotes in the book and they had a really quite in-depth conversation about them and just showed the sheer level of thought behind everything in Rory's book. So although it's very minimal, as he calls it, less words, more flavour, and creative, it is still a very powerful book to sit and reflect on, to get those inner reflections working and get the mind ticking over. I like it when the mind ticks over. So that is their books. And finally on to mine. I was declaring that I'm going to write Brain Unchained this year and launch it in October. That has shifted for me. I have a doctor who is a pediatric and neurological professor, doctor, and he is going to endorse my book or have possibly even some input within the book and some little content pieces within it. We're still in discussions about it, but the main thing is he has read my first book, Brain Unchained, and considering the amount of credibility that he has to consider around his name, his title, and all of his accreditations, he has a lot of global influence. It's not very likely that he will put his name to a book. So the fact that he is willing to do this for me, believe me, I am very, very honoured. And I'm looking forward to working on that. But because of that, I want to get this one absolutely perfect and not rush it. And it's very difficult to get time with him as well, because he's a very, very busy man with about a 9 to 12 month waiting list in his surgery practice, in his wherever he works. But he's involved in a lot of things as well, and it is overwhelming just trying to understand all the things he's involved in. So for him to agree to give some time to me is honestly, I feel very, very appreciative and grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to the process. So in the meantime, I'm still waiting to find out about the IP of my framework within the book. And as soon as I get some answers about my framework, I can carry on writing and at least write my part. In the meantime, with Emma's book going on hold for a bit and mine going on hold for a bit, it made space for me to do something else. And I am writing a book called 30 Love Values. It was something that came up in a conversation earlier this year about values that made me realize a lot of people don't really truly understand all of their own values. They're very kind of surface level. Oh yeah, we've got this, got that. And everybody's maybe got one or two. But when it comes to relationships, and one person's values are their own, but they don't necessarily understand the other person's. And then when they're different, they don't know how to align them or work with them or let go of them and accept the differences and support each other's values. That's when relationships can fall apart. And the values in a relationship are absolutely vital for both parties, not just one person declaring their values and expecting the rest of the household to fall into place. But in a relationship, the values have to align between two people. Not necessarily that you have identical values, but that you can support each other's values without overriding your own and losing yourself in the process. And so for this, I've come up with a highly structured book, and it makes it fun. And when we talk about things being structured, there are the 30 chapters of the love values, plus some introductory and end of book information. There's some little extra bits around it. But every chapter has 10 sections of information within it. And it's only about 4 or 5 pages, about 4 to 6 pages. But it's set up with an intro. You have a definition of what the value is. There is, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, sorry. There is the purpose of that value, like what it brings to the relationship. There's 20 useful tips on how to use it. There is quotes, there's mantras. There is a section on dispute resolution. So if there is anything that's not aligning with the values, it gives you about 8 tips on how to resolve that for yourself and for your partner. And this could be used in working relationships as well, but the book is written on the basis of a soul relationship. And there is a summary at the end, and there are a couple of other bits that I might even add some more yet. And the main thing is it makes it such an easy book to dip into. It's the 30 values have been divided up into 5 sections. Like all the core intimacy part is in one section, the caring and nurturing parts in another, and then there's some other parts in another, but there's 5 sections in total. So it's broken down, which makes it a little bit easier to digest. And it's beautifully laid out with a lovely little cover page and little logos for each of the sections. And then say with the structure within each chapter, it's going to make it so easy to know exactly what you want, look down the index, pick the page, and you will understand the structure throughout the book without having necessarily to read the entire book in one go. So I love a book like that, where instead of having to read the whole thing to filter, you literally can select the information as and when you need. It's going to be very, very easy format for you. Difficult for me to set out, but it's going to be extremely easy for you as readers to pick up and use and dip into and transform your relationships with, which is what I'm looking forward to some feedback on that later. So please let me know what you think of any of this, whether you are looking forward to Sue Bailey's books, Emma Oldershaw's books, Rory Lemon's books, or my books. Let us know what you're looking out for, and we'll try and keep you up to date with all of the book launches and releases and special offers as they come out later in the year. And if you want to keep up with us more on a daily basis and interact with us along the way, we are in the Facebook group, which I will link in the description below the video and even put in the chats. And we're also on LinkedIn now, not quite as active on there yet. We're growing that. But on Facebook, we are this close to 200 group members. It's beautifully interactive group. People come along and post on things most days. And we like to try and keep you up to date with what we are doing. And if you are a self-publishing, self-help author in the wellbeing sector, and you have a book that you want to share, we have a special thread on a Monday every week in Facebook where you can come in there and post your book underneath that thread. And you can engage with other members throughout the rest of the week anyway, because we are all human beings and we're all better together with collaboration. So thank you ever so much. I'm going to go now because I've got a workshop to set up for in 25 minutes or 20 minutes. But thank you, and I will see you all again for another update next month.